right. Oh, so very excited to talk to you today because you are the patron of a bill that is near and dear to my heart and very interested in the so-called Tebow Bill, right? Do you guys still call it the Tebow Bill down there?
That's calling it. Yeah, it is the
Okay.
Tebow. That's
Okay.
right.
So you just went in and out on me with your audio. I'm not sure. Does that happen often, or is that did that just happen once, you think?
I don't know.
We'll
I
see,
mean,
right?
typically the internet works pretty good here, so we'll see what happens.
Richmond has pretty good internet. That's fair.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So my name's Fraser O'Leary. Thank you so much for joining me, Delegate March. Could you just introduce yourself and where you're from, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about what inspired you to be a patron of the so-called Tebow Bill, and we can give it its real title, and we can talk about whatever it is, and I'd love
Yeah.
to hear from your perspective.
Yeah. So I'm Delegate Marie March. I'm in the 7th District, which is Floyd, Pulaski, and Montgomery County. We're a very conservative district. It's very, very solid red in my neck of the woods. But especially in Floyd County where I live, we have a large homeschool population. And, while I was campaigning, as we started looking at school choice, I'm a big proponent for school choice as well. I believe I'm a business owner. I own 3 different restaurants. I own a small business magazine. I've got a copy of that right in front of me. We do a magazine that highlights over 400 small mom and pops throughout our district. So I'm a big proponent for small business. Well, when we started talking about school choice, I realized what a great opportunity that could be in our district for entrepreneurs, small business people, not just business people, but entrepreneurs to pop up, to open their own, small schools, and just really drive competition, throughout the district. So I became really excited about the idea of school choice, that it could really happen, that a voucher program and people's tax dollars, could go to pay privately run situations. So when I got on the bandwagon with that, I realized this is the time for a negotiation to occur with the public schools, to do the Tim Tebow, if they want
a hostage negotiation.
Yeah. So this is a great opportunity. They could keep a little bit of money for their facilities, if they start to allow homeschoolers and maybe in the long run, even private schoolers, to start to play school sports. I think it's a very big, it puts people at quite a disadvantage if they're not allowed to play the public school sports, because they get looked over for scholarships, for sports scholarships, band scholarships. So I feel very strongly about this, and we put the bill in, and Nick Freitas has carried it for many years, and Nick is one of my mentors here in the General Assembly since I'm a freshman delegate. And I kind of told him where I stood on it. He said, Marie, this sounds like a good one. I'll transfer my bill over to you, and we'll go for that from there.
So that's very, very interesting, and it's a cool path. We'll have to talk the strategy, the negotiation strategy, because I spoke with Delegate Glenn Davis last week about some of the other bills, up to and including, I think, one that maybe Nick Freitas is sponsoring, with like education savings accounts, and then the laboratory schools and the expansion of charter schools and all that stuff. But a little bit about the history of this particular bill in Virginia, because there has been movement on this bill in the past, 6 years? It gets passed, and then it gets hit, right?
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about what's happened in the past, and then how you see this playing out in this session?
Yeah, I mean, I too was in Glenn Davis's office last week discussing this bill, and I think there could be a real appetite for it this year. I definitely think Glenn's going to work with me to help me get it out of the House. I do think that even in the past, I think Glenn told me that it came to a tie vote. You may know the history of.
My understanding was that it passed in both the House and the Senate, and it got vetoed, I think maybe like two
Yeah.
or three times. I mean, Nick
Yes.
Freitas will be able to speak definitively, but I think it's gotten out at least twice and then got vetoed.
I think we have a really good shot at getting this through. And so, across, and, with what's gone on in the schools, I mean, we saw what happened with Loudoun County. I mean, the schools were a big part of why there was a red wave across Virginia. Parents are really upset. They want to be in charge of their children's schooling and their children's education. They want to say so in that. So, this is going to give, and a lot of people with everything that's gone on in the schools in the last 2 years, I know in my district, a lot of people have taken their kids out of the public schools. So more and more people are becoming homeschoolers. So this is this is going to be a huge opportunity. I think we have a good.
And so how do you see, Delegate March, the relationship between, there's all these cool things going on with educational choice in Virginia, right? The educational savings account, which allows the money to follow the schools, is like a potential game changer, right? Even to the point of hybrid, a person who wants to take a couple of classes potentially. I know in Fairfax County, you can take 2 classes in the schools and homeschool, right? But that doesn't mean that you get to fully participate in, my son is a football player, he sees his high school as a football team with a high school attached to it, right?
That's right.
And so that's where we get into this kind of hostage negotiation. You're right. People may be more open to homeschooling and having that alternative independent path if they don't have to completely disconnect from the fun part of school, right? But do you know how the educational savings accounts, like, would it be a situation where if somebody homeschooled, let's say the educational savings account was passed, then you could use the money, but then you could also still, how do you envision the parents still being able to participate in sports, et cetera?
Yeah. So my hope is some of that educational savings account money, some of those tax dollars can be used, to pay back the schools for facilities, equipment, and that's a way for the schools to also recoup some of that money, so that's the way I see it. I hope that this money will flow through education savings accounts. I haven't specified that in the bill. I've only, I've specified that fees can be collected, but, we're hoping and working on the back end to make sure that can be tax dollars.
Well, and it's very reasonable that hasn't been specified because one presumes the other. Like right now, you're in a situation where you're fundamentally playing the role of Moses, right? You're like, let them free and then let them come and participate in the
Right.
sports, which is that, and also just so parents who have been homeschooling parents who have been following this understand, does your bill say if that school systems have to allow students to participate, or is it that they may allow students to participate? I feel like that was one of the distinctions a couple of years ago. This might just be, fundamentally, this is reproducing a bill that has exist, right? So, you didn't
Correct.
have to craft this from scratch.
I didn't craft it from scratch, but I do believe that it doesn't require a local school board. It doesn't force them to have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's interesting.
But we're hoping that the monetary, incentive, they'll pick up on, how important it is to recoup some money. So,
well, and like you said, Delegate March, I mean, when you're facing a bear on one end or a bunny on the other, if the bear is education savings accounts, full everybody going wherever they go, and the bunny is, listen, you could just let homeschoolers participate in sports, they may play into it. I don't know that Delegate Freitas will see it that way, but he may. But it's interesting though, because of course right now we're in a situation in Virginia and then specifically in Northern Virginia where the governor has said something. This, parents should be allowed to do blank, and different districts are declaring their, willingness to comply or not comply. So I wonder again, I'm in Fairfax County, then there's Arlington and Alexandria. if it's open and the school districts can do it, they're legally allowed to, or legally, I don't even know what it is. I mean, are school districts right now prevented from allowing homeschoolers to participate in sports?
I don't know the answer to that either. I would
Okay.
guess that that's the case, considering that they've never, I don't know of one school district that is allowing that to go on. So
Right.
that must be the case, and that must
Right.
be the
Because
reason.
otherwise, in more conservative districts, you would have,
Yeah.
they would have allowed it. So yeah, if we just assume that, so then from your perspective now, and again, this is fun, right? This is brand new for you. But you're looking, obviously, Delegate Freitas has probably said, here are some of the allies for the bill, or you can just look, right, at who voted for it previously. What does the landscape look like? Are there specific members of the education committee that homeschoolers around the state should reach out to? Are there specific senators? The Senate is still in the hands of the Democrats?
No,
No. Okay.
Democrats. Yes, the Democrats.
The
Yeah,
Democrats have it.
the Democrats have the Senate here in
Okay.
Virginia. So yeah, we're definitely going to need a couple people, to come on over on this. But I mean, I think there's a real appetite for it. I mean, even among, I've spoken to a couple of the freshman Democrat delegates, and people, and it's not even just to protect the schools and help the public schools to recoup some money, but it's also a sense of community. When these kids can all play sports together, that's more people that we're not divided into one camp versus another camp.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's all the kids growing up together in a community, getting to know each other through sports, and making friendships for the rest of their lives. So
does this, and I haven't looked at it closely enough, does this extend beyond sports to extracurricular activities?
it does. It's
So clubs and stuff?
So it's all the programs. It's clubs, it's the band, it's, I mean, the sky's the limit on this. So I think this could be, us really getting a foothold, into, yeah, it's a good one. I'm really excited to be carrying this one.
Well,
I
so
hope
the flip side, of course, is it's really good. It's funny. I can't remember if it was with Delegate Davis or with someone else, where I think this week is National School Choice Week. Just FYI. And
know.
I interviewed a couple weeks ago, the executive director of it. I'll send you the video, but it was, he's the director of National School Choice Week, and he's just delineating, school choice options and whatnot. But obviously there are people who oppose this, and whether they oppose it, and of course they don't oppose it because they hate kids, and they don't oppose it because they hate community. They oppose it presumably because we all like to control things. And, if you were running your office, you don't want chaos in your office any more than I want chaos in my household, right? And so I guess the question is, given that this is sort of a no-brainer, that means that there will be a lot of no brains coming out in opposition to it. Have you gotten advice from some of your colleagues, or just from your own experience, as to how to win on this?
Not exactly. I'm going to be honest. This bill hasn't been docketed yet, and I'm carrying so many bills. I'm running on about a 24-hour prepare for the bill and presentation.
Mhm.
So I don't have a lot of time I really am not even I don't have a week to even prepare for it. And I'm carrying so many bills, you can only do what's next down the pipeline.
Sure.
So, in all reality, but we would love your organization to speak on, about this bill. That would be great. I really want to get as many organizations to the table, to talk about the benefits of why we need this to happen. So,
and that is my question, because one of the things that certainly we can do is reach out to the home. I mean, because again, I don't know I don't want to be presumptuous and say, well, have you met this person or this person? But there are organizations, state organizations, and then there, of course, are the local homeschoolers, which have their own, experiences that to share. And I was just thinking when you were talking about the small businesses, as conservatives, we should always be thinking about unintended consequences, right? And one of the unintended consequences is there are homeschooling football leagues, there are homeschooling clubs, there are all of these things, and this might have a negative impact, but I think obviously the ability to bring in more people is such a big benefit. And of course, we believe in choice, right? Let people choose between which one they want to do.
And
So
yeah,
yeah,
and in
sorry.
reality, I prefer privatization. So I come from the private sector. I feel like when there's more competition, that drives excellence. So,
Absolutely.
obviously, I think it's all great. The more we have, the better.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, you want to send out, the information to get more people to come speak on this. I do have individuals willing to speak, several, but honestly, everybody has a different story. And so the more stories you hear, somebody might be a better fit to come and present this. So I would love any help that you're willing to let people in on. I need help for sure.
Well, absolutely. So quick questions practically about that. So one is, I think I saw that there's a place to file comments on the bill through the website. So that's something that might be like almost like an audition, or a good way for people to just sort of do it without any permission,
Yes.
right? So secondly, what I could do, if this would be valuable, is to encourage people to record almost video testimony, to be able to say, like, here, this is me as a parent, or this is us as
I love
kids,
it.
and then I can share those videos with you
I love
as
it.
almost like and then you can pick and choose. Do you guys support people testifying remotely, or is it only in
Yes.
person?
So for the subcommittees, we can bring people in on Zoom to testify.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is your time frame for this?
This bill has not been docketed just yet, so I'm not going to know until, probably a 24-hour notice. It hasn't even been assigned a committee just yet.
I got you. Is
Yeah.
there a we were talking about negotiation strategy. Is there what would be the most delicate word for this? Is there a 800-pound gorilla that we could put into the uh as a bill that would make the public schools choke, that would then make them want to accept this? It might be the educational savings account, or
I think it probably is. Typically, Nick Frank carries the bill that's going to make them choke, and then I'm hoping to get the crumbs.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, honestly, Delegate March, that bill is a serious game changer. So if I had to choose, well, you don't have to choose. That's the great thing, because like you said, schools need to realize that if what people want is their core, whatever the schools are providing, great, parents will choose that. If what parents want is the community and the social and the activity and maybe schools need to embrace that. That's a big part of why they have this.
Well, and I pitched it to my superintendents in my district. I have 3 school systems in my district, and I sat down with all superintendents except one. Actually, one didn't meet with me, but big shocker, Montgomery County. But Pulaski and Floyd County both met with me, and they don't want to see education savings accounts. They don't want to lose any more students. They don't want to lose tax funding. But like I told them, this is a huge opportunity for them to grab some of this money back. Mm-hmm. So from a business standpoint, they need to get on board with this. This is the direction things are going. And even if the education savings doesn't pass this year, there is a real appetite for this across the whole state because of what's gone on in these school boards. Mm-hmm. And I don't see it going away. So, the smart, wise thing to do is for them to get on board.
And practically, again, with regards to the bill, do the school districts, they obviously there are rules for what students have to do in terms of participation, like there are rules for current students for what they have to do in terms of grade point average, in terms of attendance. Given that when people start to oppose, when they decide to oppose things, they start making lists of why it won't work. What are the responses, or is it just deferred? Do you just say, yes, school boards will be able to make, as long as it's not undue limitations or
Yeah,
outrageous limitations. What's the
they're
theory?
yeah, able to create their own program. And I see that the fees are going to fluctuate from place to place as well, because some places have a lot nicer facilities than others. So, I think the next bill on down the line, if people pick this up, it'll be to start to cap fees. We'll have to end up introducing
Sure.
more legislation, no doubt, because
Yeah.
where it all goes. But, for right now, it's going to be the Wild West. They're going to get to set up their own program, administer their program. And it's still in the hands of the local school boards and the local schools. But, all I keep saying to them is it's a way to recoup some of the money. And
Mhm.
so the time is right.
Right. No, this has been great, Delegate March. And so I will just sort of think about what we talked about, but also put together a little bit of a mini action plan as to
Yeah,
what I can do. I will take this and do some
great.
editing in terms of so that it can be a nice flowing piece that we can send out to homeschooler parents and other parents. Obviously there's a lot of parents that have been thinking about, should I homeschool? Should I do something non-traditional?